Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine.
And today we're going to be visiting one of my favorite places, I must say.
Really? So you're you're a big meat eater.
I am. I have to have meat every day, so that's why I usually go to the butcher.
All right, so vegetarians, be warned. Today's dialogue is all about eating meat and where to go to get meat. So as Marco said, that place is called the Butcher's.
So we're going to be visiting the butcher, and we're going to learn all the different types of meat you can find there.
Great. So we don't have anything to preview, but before we get started, just like to mention that you're going to hear a lot of different kinds of words, and we'll be back in a minute to talk about what they mean.
Hi, what can I get for you?
I'd like half a pound of ground beef, please.
Good choice. Our ground beef is extra lean, if you know what I mean.
Could I also have half a dozen pork chops and 2 pounds of boneless chicken breast?
No chicken breasts at the moment, but we have some nice chicken thighs.
No, that won't do. I'll take this smoked ham you have here.
Okay, is there anything else?
Is this salami and bologna you have here?
Yes, it's very fine meat. Made it myself.
Sounds good. Okay, that's it.
Wait, we have T-bone, ribeye, and sirloin steaks. They are very fresh. Just came from the slaughterhouse.
No, that's okay, really. I think that's all for today.
Okay, that'll be $34.50.
All right, we're back. So this butcher was kind of creepy in the beginning.
Very creepy in the beginning.
I think that's usually the conception that you have of butchers because they always have a knife and they're always covered in blood, but it's not human blood.
Right, like the movie Sweeney Todd. Did you see that?
Yeah, like Sweeney Todd.
Butcher of Fleet Street.
But we actually took a look at a lot of different types of meat that the woman was ordering. So why don't we take a look at these now in Language Takeaway?
Language takeaway.
Okay, so the first is a classic cut. This is something that we had at my house about once a week growing up. It's called a pork chop.
Pork chop. Mm-hmm. So a pork chop comes from the animal, the pork or pig.
Yeah, well, we actually don't say pork to mean the animal. Pork just means the kind of meat that comes from a pig. So big difference there. When we're talking about food, we say pork.
Oh, wow. And what about a pork chop? So what exactly is that?
Chop is usually just on the bone, and oftentimes it's fried. Or baked, I guess. But it's just a piece of pork on the bone, and a chop. You just imagine a knife chopping something.
All right, so a pork chop, very good. And after pork chops, we were ordering some ground beef.
All right, so ground beef is another important one. Ground beef is beef that's been chopped up and pushed through a machine that kind of pushes it out in very, very small bits and pieces.
Okay.
There's no bones.
So ground comes from the verb to grind. Mm-hmm. So to grind up meat, to make it very, very small pieces.
Right, so if you want to make a spaghetti bolognese, the kind of beef you use is ground beef, or even hamburgers.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So ground beef, you ground up beef. What other things would you grind?
Oh, you could grind your teeth.
You can grind.
Some people do that when they're sleeping. They grind their teeth. You can grind, you have pepper grinders. You know, peppers sometimes come in balls, and you have to grind them to make them smaller and broken down.
Very good. So that's ground beef, and from the verb to grind. Now we are buying some boneless chicken breasts.
All right, so boneless, as you have guessed, means without bones. Mm-hmm. And chicken breasts are usually just a really nice, juicy, kind of tender cut of meat from the chicken, from the kind of underside of the chicken, where obviously Yeah, they have it. It's not a wing. It's not a leg. It's just a chicken breast.
All right. So boneless chicken breast. Now, usually it is boneless, right? When you buy it at the supermarket.
Yeah. Next up, we've got some classic deli counter favorites. These are our cold cuts.
All right. So cold cuts. Now, this means that they are cold.
Oh, well, yeah, they're cold. But I think cold cuts, the most important thing to remember here is that they're mostly like kinds of salami or cured meats. So these are salt cured or they're dried meats. And you usually have them on sandwiches. So like a salami sandwich.
So like cured meat, you mean that meat hasn't been cooked?
Oh, no, it's not been cooked, but it's treated in a way that allows it to last for a very long time.
All right,
so they look like long tubes of meat.
Or they look very dry. So
Look very dry, like
all
beef
right.
jerky, for example.
All right, so cured meat. Now, for example, we have salami and bologna.
Bologna.
Now, it's interesting because bologna is actually spelled Bologna. So you would say Bologna or something like that.
Well, I think it comes from the Italian Bologna.
All right.
But it's definitely a change that happened in the English language when it came over from Italy. But bologna is a kind of meat it's got a very funny looking name.
Yeah, see, you're more sophisticated than I am. That's why you know this difference.
I
between
just speak
salami.
Italian, so no.
All right, so you have salami, bologna, and
Pastrami.
pastrami. What about ham? Is that considered a cold cut?
You can have ham in the cold cut section because ham sometimes comes in tubes that you slice. But ham is also just a normal kind of pork. But ham is cured,
like a smoked ham.
Exactly.
All
or
right.
smoked turkey, one of my favorites.
Very good. And now moving on from the cold cuts, we're going to concentrate on steaks.
Ooh, steaks. So there are 1,000 kinds of steaks in this world, and every city seems to have its own kind. But here we're only looking at 3, the first of which is the T-bone.
All right, the T-bone steak, I think, is one of the most popular ones.
Definitely.
It's a steak that's pretty big, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it can be.
And it has a bone inside that looks like a T.
All right. So you're saying, Marco, that the T-bone is named after the shape and the look of this steak.
Yeah, T-bone steak.
All right.
And as well as our next one is also a rib eye.
Okay, so the rib eye, I think, actually has a piece of the rib in it. So the rib is the bone, and there's a circle, which is kind of the piece of meat is sliced off the rib, and the circle is actually part of that rib. So there's a little bit of bone in it, but it's not as bony as the T-bone.
Right. So it does have one small bone that kind of looks like an eye because you can see through it. And our next steak has no bone and is the most tender and the best steak you can have, sirloin steak.
So I think the sirloin is definitely the most expensive if you're in a restaurant. Definitely the most tender, I think, of all
It's
those
delicious.
kind of cuts.
And usually you can have like a big sirloin steak, like a half a kilo, like a 400-gram sirloin steak.
I had a friend who ate a full kilo
Really?
sirloin steak. Yeah.
Wow. Is it a competition or?
No, there's a kind of steak called la bistecca alla fiorentina in Italy. It's the Florentine beef steak, and it can be about a kilo of meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you can't even move after that.
No, you fall asleep with your head in your soup on the table.
All right, so that's all the meat-related words that we have for you today. So why don't we move on now to Fluency Builder, where we're going to take a look at some of the phrases in this dialogue.
Fluency Builder.
We're going to look at the phrases, if you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean. Now, I love this phrase, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Well, it's
I
weird.
like it too.
So you can use it for sarcasm,
Yeah.
right? Or you can use it to kind of insinuate something, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So here's what you're saying. You're saying there's a double meaning in what I want to say. So there's 2 things I could say, and I'm not going to say it outright, but this thing that we can't really say.
So, for example, we can say,
She likes to go out, if you know what I mean.
all right, so you're insinuating that not only does she like to go out, but maybe
Maybe she goes out a lot.
a lot, or maybe she gets drunk or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a double meaning, but you're trying to be subtle.
Yeah, but it's not so subtle because you're actually saying, like, this is not what I mean. Or, she's eating for 2, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there we go. So you're insinuating that Well, you're not really insinuating. You're telling me that.
She's pregnant.
Pregnant.
Eating for two is a common idiom in English that means that a woman, is going to have a baby. So here I'm saying, hey, do you know this idiom? She's eating for two, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Wink, wink, wink.
Wink, wink. So now, why don't we take a look at some other examples of how we could use if you know what I mean in different circumstances when you're trying to insinuate something.
Example 1.
She's eating for two now, if you know what I mean.
Example 2.
Tim hit a home run today, if you know what I mean.
Example 3.
Jim and Laura are going their separate ways, if you know what I mean.
All right, we're back. So now that that's clear, why don't we move on to our next phrase?
So this one is a counting phrase, and for those of you who have heard the word dozen before, it might not be so new. The phrase is half a dozen.
Half a dozen. So that means half of 12.
12. So a dozen is 12. And I'm not really sure when this started being used in English, but a dozen is 12. And half a dozen is then 6.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's another phrase or another saying that's very common, a dime a dozen.
He's a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm. So that means you can get 12 of the same type of guys for 10 cents.
Right. So they're easy to find.
They're easy to find.
Yeah.
The dime a dozen. All right, very good. And moving on to our last one. When they were talking, they said something about the meat being lean, extra lean.
Okay, lean, this does not mean lean on a door.
Right.
This is not like resting on something. This is actually a kind of way to describe food. Mm-hmm. And so food is lean if it's not got much fat. It's not fatty.
Okay, so if it's lean, it doesn't have much fat.
Exactly. So I prefer to eat lean meats. So I often eat birds and poultry. So chicken, I like it pretty lean. And if it's got fat on it, I'll cut the fat off.
Oh, okay, like the skin. Mm-hmm. The skin is fat, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you can have lean beef. It doesn't have much fat around it.
Yeah, and in America, actually, on the packages at the supermarket, it often says the percentage of meat that you have. So it's 95% lean or 98% lean.
So that means you have 3% fat in there.
Exactly.
Or 2.
Or 2%.
My math skills are amazing. All right, so now that we've finished with all of these words on Fluency Builder, let's take a look at our dialogue for the last time.
Hi, what can I get for you?
I'd like half a pound of ground beef, please.
Good choice. Our ground beef is extra lean, if you know what I mean.
Could I also have half a dozen pork chops and 2 pounds of boneless chicken breast?
No chicken breasts at the moment, but we have some nice chicken thighs.
No, that won't do. I'll take this smoked ham you have here.
Okay, is there anything else?
Is this salami and bologna you have here?
Yes, it's very fine meat. Made it myself.
Sounds good. Okay, that's it.
Wait, we have T-bone, ribeye, and sirloin steaks. They are very fresh. Just came from the slaughterhouse.
No, that's okay, really. I think that's all for today.
Okay, that'll be $34.50.
All right, we're back. So, Catherine, are you a big beef or meat eater?
Definitely am. It helps that my partner in crime is from Kansas City, and they have among the best steaks in our entire country in Kansas City. Yeah.
Wow. I actually miss, there was, back in California, we had the $6 burger from Carl's Jr. It was just basically beef, bacon, cheese. It was just like this huge burger full of meat and obviously a lot of calories.
Oh, yeah.
But it was delicious. In Ecuador, we are very used to having some meat product every day with our food.
Yeah, well, it's the same in the Midwest, actually, from where we're from. It's the same in the Midwest because people in the Midwest generally think that if you're not eating meat, then what are you eating? Bread?
Right.
Corn?
Yeah.
So meat is considered a healthy part of the day, and you definitely eat it with your meals.
Yeah, and I'm sure our vegetarian listeners might not appreciate this, but it's just kind of different diets. Some people eat, for example, rice every day. Mm-hmm. So where in other countries you wouldn't really have rice every day. Or for example, when I was in Chile, I had a lot of potatoes.
Really?
A lot of potato.
Have you ever had an Argentine steak? I hear they have the best beef in the world.
They are not only delicious, but they are very inexpensive, and it's amazing. You can have a complete steak buffet for like, I don't know, I can't even remember, but it was just, I sat there for 3 hours and couldn't move and kept eating.
Yeah, is it true you can eat it with a spoon? It's so soft?
Some of the meat is very, very tender, and not if it's grilled, you can't really do that, but in other preparations, it's almost like that.
With a nice butter sauce. And herbs.
All right, so
Making me hungry.
I know, you've made me hungry. I think we're going to take off and have some a burger or something now. All right, so if you have any questions, any comments, please come to our website at englishpod.com, and we're there to answer any doubts.
And we'd love to know what your favorite foods are, meat or otherwise, so post something on our website. Hope to see you there soon.
Bye.
Bye.
The English Pod audio review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Beef that has been put through a grinder.
Ground beef.
A type of meat from a large bird, similar to chicken.
Turkey.
Having a low fat content.
Lean.
Used to express the listener is aware of something that is assumed to be known.
If you know what I mean.
A type of small sausage.
Hot dog.
A cut of pork in a individual size.
Pork chop.
A type of knife a butcher uses.
Cleaver.
With the bones removed.
Boneless.
The table that a butcher works on.
Chopping block.
The meaty breast portion of a chicken.
Chicken breast.
The waxy paper a butcher uses to wrap meat in.
Butcher paper.
The upper leg portion of meat on a chicken.
Chicken thigh.
A ham which has been seasoned with smoke.
Smoked ham.
Cold cooked meat used for sandwiches.
Cold cuts.
Spicy dry sausage.
Salami.
A thick piece of beef with a T-shaped bone in it.
T-bone.
A tender cut of beef from the outer side of the rib.
Rib eye.
A piece of beef from the lower back of the cow.
Sirloin.
A slice of beef.
Steak.
The place where animals are killed for their meat.
Slaughterhouse.
Wide sausage that is sliced.
Bologna.
Let's try that faster. The meaty breast portion of a chicken.
Chicken breast.
Spicy dry sausage.
Salami.
Used to express the listener is aware of something that is assumed to be known.
If you know what I mean.
A type of small sausage.
Hot dog.
A ham which has been seasoned with smoke.
Smoked ham.
Wide sausage that is sliced.
Bologna.
Having a low fat content.
Lean.
Cold cooked meat used for sandwiches.
Cold cuts.
A slice of beef.
Steak.
The upper leg portion of meat on a chicken.
Chicken thigh.
A cut of pork in a individual size.
Pork chop.
A thick piece of beef with a T-shaped bone in it.
T-bone.
The place where animals are killed for their meat.
Slaughterhouse.
Beef that has been put through a grinder.
Ground beef.
A type of knife a butcher uses.
Cleaver.
A type of meat from a large bird, similar to chicken.
Turkey.
With the bones removed.
Boneless.
A tender cut of beef from the outer side of the rib.
Rib eye.
A piece of beef from the lower back of the cow.
Sirloin.
The waxy paper a butcher uses to wrap meat in.
Butcher paper.
The table that a butcher works on.
Chopping block.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Ground beef. You should be sure that ground beef is cooked well. Otherwise, you can get sick. Ground beef. Today's special is ground beef at only 99 cents a pound while supplies last. Ground beef. These Italian meatballs are made from ground beef, salt, pepper, and a pinch of garlic powder. Lean. Tommy is on a diet, so he only eats extra lean meat. Lean. Look at that girl over there. She is so lean. I don't think there is an ounce of fat on her body. Lean. We want to make the company leaner and more responsive to the demands of the market. If you know what I mean. This beef is so fresh, I think I can still hear it mooing, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. I know what you mean. The internet is so slow, I'm not sure I'm even connected. If you know what I mean. Boy, John's wife is really mad at him. I guess he's really in the doghouse, if you know what I mean. Cold cuts. Are we all prepared for the picnic? Let's see here. We have bread, cold cuts, mustard, silverware, plates. Cold cuts. Honey, don't forget to buy the cold cuts on your way home. Buy some sliced roast turkey and whatever else you want. Cold cuts. I would prefer a bowl of steaming noodles rather than some stale bread and cold cuts. Steak. Before I got this great job, I was so poor, but now it's steak for dinner every night. Steak. I can't finish this whole steak. It's bigger than my head. Steak. You can choose how long your steak is cooked. Rare steak often still has blood in it, while well done is almost entirely burnt.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So what are we talking about today, Marco?
Well, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, which are computers.
Yes, you're a little bit of a nerd.
A little bit. I love computers and technology and everything that's related to it. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Maybe we're buying a new computer.
Well, I anticipate learning something from this because there are a lot of those fancy big words that I don't know that have to do with processors and giga things. So that's going to be coming up in a minute here. But first, let's just jump right in and take a listen to today's dialogue.
So, can you fix it?
I'm sorry, sir. This computer is not broken or damaged. It's simply just too old. That's why your programs and applications are running slow. There really isn't much I can do.
What do you mean? I bought this computer just 3 years ago.
Yes, but technology is ever-changing, and technology is becoming obsolete faster and faster.
Okay, I know where this is going. How much will it cost me to get a new computer?
Well, this desktop over here is our latest model. It has a 4 gigahertz processor with 16 gigabytes in RAM and a hard disk with 1 terabyte. Of course, it includes a mouse, keyboard, and desk speakers.
I have no idea what you are talking about. I just want to know if it's good, and if I'll be able to play solitaire without the computer crashing or freezing all the time.
This PC is top of the line, and I guarantee it will never freeze. If it does, we'll give you your money back.
All right, we're back. I think it's a very typical case. You go in to get something fixed, and they say, we can't fix it. You need a new one.
Yes, and not only a new one, but a bigger and better and faster one.
And more expensive, obviously.
Obviously. It's called the upsell.
The upsell, yeah. All right, so there were some very difficult words, I think, because they're very specific related to technology and computers. So why don't we look at those now in Language Takeaway?
Language takeaway.
All right, so the first word we have today is when something is no longer in use.
Okay, so this word is obsolete.
It's obsolete.
Obsolete. And we're not just talking about like, oh, I haven't touched that pen in like 10 years. We're talking about a piece of technology that is no longer useful because there's something else that can do a better job.
Right. And actually, not only with technology, we also have words that are obsolete, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. Like thy or thine, you or yours.
Classical English. We don't use thy anymore.
No.
But
thou art very summary today, Marco.
We don't use that anymore. That's obsolete English, right? Or obsolete words.
Exactly. So obsolete means it's no longer of use. We have better and newer things in its place.
All right. And now moving on, when the salesman was describing the characteristics of the computer, he used some prefixes that were a little bit strange, right? Like, for example, giga.
Giga what?
Giga.
All right. So these are actually prefixes that have to do with numbers. And so this is not just a computer thing. This is a math thing or a science thing. So, okay. So we've got 3 different prefixes. A prefix is something we tack on at the beginning of a word. So we have hertz or byte, right? These are little bits of a computer. Byte.
Right. So you have like megabytes.
Megabytes we've all heard before. That's the smallest here. We've got megabytes, but bigger than mega, we've got gigabytes.
A giga. Yeah. So now, for example, the hard drives are 250 gigabytes.
You might even hear someone say gigs. You've got a
Gigs, yeah.
250 gig hard drive.
Yeah.
But what's bigger than giga?
Now it's the terabyte.
Ooh, tera. It sounds like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
Huge.
I actually wondered what would happen after gigabyte because it's so much information already, and now it's the terabyte. So it's like 1,000 gigabytes.
So that's like 200 movies.
That's probably more than that. It's amazing the amount of
Man.
storage you can have and how small it actually is.
So mega, giga, tera, going
Right.
from littlest to biggest.
All right. And, well, he described a 4 gigahertz processor.
Okay, so the processor is our next word, and this is actually something that that determines how fast your computer is going to run.
So it comes from the word to process, right?
Right.
To like calculate or to think.
Do even.
To do. So you have different examples like a word processor.
Right, so it's like Microsoft Word. It allows you to make Word documents. You can also say to process data. You're trying to calculate it.
But in this case, a processor is like a little brain that's the center of the computer, and that's where all the information gets processed.
Yeah, so it's the brain of the computer, essentially. And the bigger it is, the faster it can go.
Exactly. And, well, if you don't have a very good processor, your computer is bound to freeze.
Ooh, okay, so freezing is another key word, especially when talking about computers. This one drives me nuts. To freeze, it means to stop moving.
Right.
Right? So, well, it has a couple different meanings. You might have heard it about ice before, but to freeze here, we're talking about stopping moving. So we have a game called Freeze Tag, where if I touch you, you have to stop running.
Right.
But here we're talking about a computer freezing. I'm moving my mouse and I'm typing, and all of a sudden,
It doesn't work
my
anymore.
mouse doesn't move. I can't close or open or do anything, and it's really frustrating.
It's very, especially if you're doing something and you didn't save your work, it's gone. Right? So if your computer freezes, then usually you have to restart it or turn it
Yeah.
off or on.
So that is about it for those words, but let's take another listen and slow the dialogue down this time so we can catch some of those big words.
So can you fix it?
I'm sorry, sir. This computer is not broken or damaged. It's simply just too old. That's why your programs and applications are running slow. There really isn't much I can do.
What do you mean? I bought this computer just 3 years ago.
Yes, but technology is ever changing and technology is becoming obsolete faster and faster.
Okay, I know where this is going. How much will it cost me to get a new computer?
Well, this desktop over here is our latest model. It has a 4 gigahertz processor with 16 gigabytes in RAM and a hard disk with 1 terabyte. Of course, it includes a mouse, keyboard, and desk speakers.
I have no idea what you are talking about. I just want to know if it's good, and if I'll be able to play solitaire without the computer crashing or freezing all the time.
This PC is top of the line, and I guarantee it will never freeze. If it does, we'll give you your money back.
Great, so we are back. So now let's jump into today's Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so on Fluency Builder, we're going to take a look at 3 different phrases. For example, the salesman was describing technology and said that it's ever-changing.
Okay, so this is almost a little poetic line
Yeah.
here. So ever-changing means always changing.
Always.
Always changing. And so we can say that the ocean is ever changing. You know, the
Right.
waves are always changing it. But in this case, he's saying that technology is always changing. It's always progressing into something new. And so
Exactly.
that is a key selling point for this guy.
Right. So this is actually a very interesting word. We can use it like in your example beyond technology, like the way, like the sea is ever changing. So why don't we listen to a couple of other examples?
Example 1.
There's always something new in this ever-changing world.
Example 2.
Times are ever changing, and we must prepare ourselves better every day.
Example 3.
The flu is an ever-changing virus that continues to claim many lives.
All right, we're back. So now we understand the ever-changing.
So the man who's trying to buy this computer, or at least get his computer fixed, really starts to get frustrated with the salesman. And he says, okay, I know where this is going. So he hears the sales pitch. He hears this guy trying to loosen him up a little bit. He says, I know where this is going. So what does this mean? This where something is going.
So basically, what direction a conversation or a topic or a situation is taking.
Okay, so he's saying, I know why you're telling me these
Right.
things. I know your motive.
Or I know what's happening. I know what you're going to say.
Okay, so he's essentially saying, I know you're going to try and sell me a computer.
Right.
All
So you can use it in other circumstances, right? For example, a relationship.
I don't know where this is going.
Right. What is going?
Classic breakup line. I just don't think I know where this is going anymore.
So in reference to the relationship, right?
Yeah,
We
so-
don't know what's happening. Are we serious? Are we maybe going to get married? I don't know anymore.
I can't tell where this movie is going. It's so like, ooh, here and there and boring.
Yeah, you
and-
don't know the plot.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a very common phrase, and it sounds very natural when you say it, right?
It does. And that's why it's Fluency Builder really helps you sound like a more native English speaker when you use these kind of phrases.
And the next one is also very, very good when he describes the condition of the computer. He says it's top of the line.
Top of the line. Now, what line we're talking about, I do not know, but this
Like
is
above average line.
right. So this is the best of the best. This is the top model or the top computer. And you can definitely imagine a car salesman using this.
Yeah.
Yes, this BMW is top of the line. It's the best money can buy.
Yeah, that's another good one. So basically, top of the line is the best of the best, the above average, right?
More than above average. It's the best you can do. And
The
so
best you can
the
buy.
guy is saying, listen, this is our best computer. Really, you should buy it. And obviously, top of the line usually costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it's usually for something that costs money, right? For things. You wouldn't really use it for a person, right? He's top of the line.
No. Top of the line, I think, generally refers to electronics and cars
Yeah.
or like motorcycles. And so you often hear top of the line stereo, top of the line TV, top of the line car. But you wouldn't say this about food or
Yeah.
people or art.
Yeah, you wouldn't say this painting is top of the line.
Nah, no, not about like very unique things. You'd say
Right.
this about kind of manufactured things.
Very good. So we've taken a look at a lot of great phrases. Why don't we listen to our dialogue for the last time, and then we'll come back.
So, can you fix it?
I'm sorry, sir. This computer is not broken or damaged. It's simply just too old. That's why your programs and applications are running slow. There really isn't much I can do.
What do you mean? I bought this computer just 3 years ago.
Yes, but technology is ever changing and technology is becoming obsolete faster and faster.
Okay, I know where this is going. How much will it cost me to get a new computer?
Well, this desktop over here is our latest model. It has a 4 gigahertz processor with 16 gigabytes in RAM and a hard disk with 1 terabyte. Of course, it includes a mouse, keyboard, and desk speakers.
I have no idea what you are talking about. I just want to know if it's good, and if I'll be able to play solitaire without the computer crashing or freezing all the time.
This PC is top of the line, and I guarantee it will never freeze. If it does, we'll give you your money back.
All right, we're back. So computers. Catherine, I know you recently got a nice Macintosh.
Yeah, I did.
It's one of those big screen ones, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a desktop, right? So it's not a laptop. And it's got a very fast processor because Macs started using Intel processors a couple of years ago, and that made them much faster.
Wow, and this processor actually has 2 cores, right? So basically it has 2 different brains almost within one processor.
Which gives it really bad headaches. She complains to me often.
Are you a big Mac fan or PC fan?
I'm a Mac fan.
Really?
I've been converted. My roommate in college, my sophomore year, had a Mac, and ever since then, I've really gotten into them. So,
Really?
yeah, I went Mac and didn't turn back.
I still honestly cannot really use a Mac. I get confused. I'm looking for the start button, and I'm looking for where my documents are.
It's really hard to change over. Right?
Yeah.
But once you do, you don't want to change back because everything is so much easier on a Mac.
Really?
But if you're really into PC gaming, then you should probably stick with the PCs because the games just don't really compare on Macs.
But I've heard that also Macs don't really suffer from viruses, right?
No, they don't, which is great because I always used to get these viruses that would slow down my computer because, you open some email and all of a sudden there's nastiness on your desktop. Well, now I don't really have that problem. And also there's really wonderful photo editing software and video editing software.
Right.
So everything's just really easy to find and easy to use.
What about you, listeners? Do you prefer the Mac? Do you prefer the PC? Or maybe some of our listeners don't really even like computers?
Well, let us know either way. We're very curious to hear what you have to say. And of course, writing on our comment section is great practice for your English.
Right. So we'll see you guys there. And until next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Always becoming different.
Ever changing.
A written promise that a seller will repair a product if a problem arises.
Warranty.
No longer useful.
Obsolete.
A portable computer.
Laptop.
The direction of an event.
Where something is going.
To change into a more advanced state.
Evolve.
To be completely unaware of something.
I have no idea.
A device that allows computers to communicate without wires.
Wireless modem.
To suddenly stop functioning.
Freeze.
A system for communicating between computers.
Network.
A computer application.
Program.
Unit to measure a computer's storage capacity.
Gigabyte.
Part of computer that temporarily stores information.
Random access memory.
Part of computer that stores data.
Hard disk.
Measurement of computer processor speed.
Gigahertz.
Device in a computer that manages operations.
Processor.
To suddenly stop functioning.
Crash.
To make a written promise.
Guarantee.
Let's try that faster. A computer application.
Program.
Measurement of computer processor speed.
Gigahertz.
The direction of an event.
Where something is going.
Unit to measure a computer's storage capacity.
Gigabyte.
No longer useful.
Obsolete.
Device in a computer that manages operations.
Processor.
Always becoming different.
Ever changing.
A device that allows computers to communicate without wires.
Wireless modem.
A written promise that a seller will repair a product if a problem arises.
Warranty.
Part of computer that stores data.
Hard disk.
To suddenly stop functioning.
Crash.
To make a written promise.
Guarantee.
Part of computer that temporarily stores information.
Random access memory.
To suddenly stop functioning.
Freeze.
A portable computer.
Laptop.
To change into a more advanced state.
Evolve.
A system for communicating between computers.
Network.
To be completely unaware of something.
I have no idea.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Ever-changing. There is always something new in this ever-changing world. Ever-changing. Times are ever-changing, and we must prepare ourselves better every day. Ever-changing. The flu is an ever-changing virus that continues to claim many lives. Obsolete. This fleet of battleships from World War II is completely obsolete. Obsolete. Broom is an obsolete word that means mist or fog. Obsolete. A VHS is a device that is practically obsolete nowadays. Who buys tapes anymore? Where something is going. We fight every day. I don't know where this relationship is going. Where something is going. Where is this movie going? I don't understand what's happening. Where something is going. You want to do what? Where are you going with this conversation? I have no idea. I can't find my keys. I have no idea where I put them. I have no idea. I have no idea where Tom went. Maybe he's in the bathroom? I have no idea. You have no idea how embarrassed I was. I mean, I accidentally burped while presenting my project to the board of directors. Freeze. If your computer freezes, you'll have to shut it down. Freeze. Something is wrong with my mobile phone. It keeps freezing. Freeze. The files are not ready yet because my computer froze last night.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we're talking about being clean.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the laundry, right?
It's a very important part of everyone's weekly schedule.
And not only important, but I find it to be a little bit difficult because, like washing machine and what clothes you should mix with what, and, how much detergent and how long. It's such a complicated process.
Well, let's say this. It might not be difficult, but it's very easy to mess up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. It's very easy to just ruin your favorite t-shirt if you don't do laundry correctly.
Or all of your white socks turn pink, for example.
Right. So we're going to be looking at a lot of vocabulary and phrases related to this topic. And before we get started with the dialogue, why don't we take a look at vocabulary preview?
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, so central to all of these phrases and words that we're going to be hearing is an electric thing that helps us wash our clothes.
Right, a washing machine.
All right, pretty simple, right? So washing is to wash, washing, and machine. So they go together, washing machine.
Right.
Pretty simple.
So it's easy now. You just put all your clothes in this thing and it washes it for you.
Vroom, vroom,
Now,
and
a lot of people don't like to use washing machines. They say it doesn't really clean the clothes as well as doing it by hand.
Really? Well, I'd say most clothes get washed pretty well with a washing machine. But if you have those hard to get stains or some dirt, maybe it's good to have a washing board.
A washing board, yeah.
Yeah, where you can really scrub it yourself.
And, funny you mentioned that word stain because it's our second word that we're going to preview, a stain.
Right, a stain is some color, maybe some food or wine or grass that you can't remove from your clothes.
Right. So it's very common. You're having a nice dinner and all of a sudden you spill wine on your shirt. So you have a wine stain.
I hate that. And you can also have a stain on your carpet, right? So if you spill some coffee on your carpet, it's got a little circle that's brown forever.
Right? Or, even some people have stained the teeth, right?
That's right. So you can get them turned back white with a little money to your dentist.
Exactly. So those are the two words that we're going to be looking at today in vocabulary preview. So let's listen to our dialogue. Let's see what's happening with these people that are doing laundry.
Okay, let's go through this one more time. I don't want any more ruined or dyed blouses.
I know. Okay, so I had to separate the colors from the whites and put them in this strange-looking contraption so-called washing machine.
Right. You have to turn it on and program it depending on what type of clothes you're washing. For example, for delicates, you should set a shorter washing cycle. Also, be sure to use fabric softener and this detergent when washing.
So complicated. Okay, what about this red wine stain? How do I get it out?
Since this is a white t-shirt, you can just pour a little bit of bleach on it and it will do the trick.
Cool. Then I can just throw everything in the dryer for an hour and it's all set, right?
No! Since you're washing delicates and cotton, you should set the dryer to medium heat and for 20 minutes.
You know what? I'll just have everything dry cleaned.
Okay, so we've got someone who's maybe doing the laundry for the first time, and he's not really understanding the instructions he's got.
Well, that's the thing, I tell you. It's a little bit difficult, and, it's very tedious at times to try and do laundry like this.
Well, the first thing that's maybe tedious about it is that you have to really worry about what colors go together.
Right, so let's take a look at those words that were related to doing laundry now in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, the first word we have is actually related to a joke we made earlier about pink socks. So if you change the color of something, you're dyeing it.
Okay. Dye. So it's pronounced exactly the same way as, to die, to not live anymore. Die. But it's spelled differently.
D-Y-E.
Okay. So it can be a verb or an adjective.
Or a noun.
Or a noun.
So something that you put on clothes to change the color is called a dye.
A dye.
But to do this, to change the color of some clothes is to dye the clothes.
Mm-hmm. So that's maybe what happens when you wash a red t-shirt with all your white t-shirts.
Then you have dyed shirts. You have pink shirts and...
And also women, when they go to the beauty salon, they dye their hair.
Exactly. So that means you change the color of your hair. It means it's a long-term change. It's not short. It's not like one day.
Right.
It means probably for a long time.
So that's the correct word, to dye. Very different. Maybe some people say to paint, which, we understand, but the correct form would be to dye.
And next we have a word that describes a certain kind of clothing. We're not talking about pants or socks. We're talking about delicates.
Delicates. So now this adjective, delicate, which means it's very
Easy to break.
fragile, right?
Yeah.
But this is a noun, delicates.
Right, so you think of something that's easy to break or to ruin, maybe you think of underwear.
Underwear.
Underwear is something you wear under your clothing, and so it's generally not as strong as a shirt or a pair of jeans. And so we call these in English delicates.
Very good. So you have to be careful when you're washing your delicates because it's happened to me before. You put them in with all the clothes and then you have stretched out boxers or something like that.
Yeah, so that's why many women I know wash delicates by hand. So you separate the clothes from the delicates.
Very good. And now if you're washing delicates or you're washing towels or t-shirts, it's always a good idea to use fabric softener.
All right, fabric softener. What are these two words? One of them you understand already. Maybe it's soft softener.
So it makes it soft.
Yeah, something that makes something softer. We've got fabric softeners. That's something that makes the clothes that you wash softer.
So fabric is any type of material, right? Like a textile.
Yeah. So it could be cotton or silk
Or nylon.
linen. So these are all kinds of fabrics.
So you pour a little bit of this in your washing machine and your clothes come out really nice and soft.
It feels nice just talking about it.
All right. And well, also to wash your clothes, to actually make them clean, you use detergent.
Right. So many people might want to say the word soap because soap is what we use to wash our hands and our dishes. But here we have detergent. So this is a special soap for your clothes.
Right. Laundry detergent.
Yeah, you could just say laundry. You could say laundry detergent or simply detergent.
And now, in order to remove those nasty stains that maybe are very hard, you would use a chemical called bleach.
All right. So bleach is the dangerous chemical because it smells very strong.
Right.
And it can change the color of your clothes to white or yellow. So we usually only use bleach with white clothes.
I actually had a friend who changed the color of his hair to white using bleach. He put bleach on his head and on his hair and it just turned white.
Oh, wow. So many people do that because they want to go from dark colors to light colors.
And in that case, you could say that he dyed his hair white, but usually you would say he bleached his hair.
It's so we understand that it turned white.
Exactly. So those 5 words we just looked at in language takeaway, they're important. They're related to doing laundry. So before we move on, let's listen to our dialogue again, but a little bit slower.
Okay, let's go through this one more time. I don't want any more ruined or dyed blouses.
I know. Okay, so I have to separate the colors from the whites and put them in this strange-looking contraption so-called washing machine?
Right. You have to turn it on and program it depending on what type of clothes you are washing. For example, for delicates, you should set a shorter washing cycle. Also, be sure to use fabric softener and this detergent when washing.
So complicated. Okay, what about this red wine stain? How do I get it out?
Since this is a white t-shirt, you can just pour a little bit of bleach on it and it will do the trick.
Cool. Then I can just throw everything in the dryer for an hour and it's all set, right?
No. Since you are washing delicates and cotton, you should set the dryer to medium heat and for 20 minutes.
You know what? I'll just have everything dry cleaned.
So here at English Pod, we like to also provide you listeners with some phrases that allow you to increase your fluency. So that means sound more like a native English speaker. And so today, let's check out these phrases in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so on Fluency Builder, we're going to be looking at 4 words or 4 phrases. So the first one was really easy. When she was telling the guy or instructing him how to do the laundry, she said, "Let's go through this one more time."
Go through what? The wall?
No, so it's not actually to go through an object, like to pass. So it's let's repeat or let's rehearse again.
Okay, so normally we say this when there are many different steps to do something. So let's go through this again. When you leave work, you go home, you unlock the door, you open the door, and then it means that there's a process.
Right.
You know, there are many steps, and so let's go through this again as a way for us to say let's think about and discuss this process.
Very good. So we also use it maybe when we're studying. So let's go through this subject one more time.
Can we go through chapter 5 again and we can understand it?
Exactly. So you would reread chapter 5. All right. So why don't we listen to a couple of more examples of how we could use go through?
Example 1.
I want to go through chapter 5 again before the exam tomorrow.
Example 2.
David, do you have time this afternoon to go over the details of this new project?
Example 3.
I went through my contract, and it says that I am entitled to 15 vacation days a year.
Now, this next phrase is very common when we're using sarcasm, when we're trying to make jokes. So we say, so-called.
Right. So she said this so-called contraption.
It's like she doubts that it's really a washing machine. So I could say, her so-called boyfriend wants to go out tonight. So I say that because he doesn't really act like a boyfriend. Right?
So you're being sarcastic. It's a
Yeah.
very good way, an easy way of demonstrating sarcasm.
Yeah, and actually in the 1990s in America, there was a very famous TV show called My So-Called Life. And right, so this is my so-called life. It's almost like, it's not really like I have any control over it. So.
Yeah. Or I don't really have a life because it's kind of boring.
Yeah, so my so-called life, not
Right.
bragging. It's
So
a joke.
So you can say my so-called friends, my so-called job. Basically, you can almost be sarcastic with anything.
Yeah, but be careful that you know that it's a joke because
Yeah.
if you're trying to be serious, you might make some people angry.
Right. And now, well, she was explaining the whole process of how to do it. And when she recommended using bleach, she said that should do the trick.
Tricks. So dogs do tricks, right?
Right. But to do the trick, right? What
So it's
what
got
is
a
she
different
saying?
meaning. All right, so she's saying this should work. This should fix your problem.
So that should do the trick.
So Marco, I've been having this itch on my foot, and I just can't seem to figure out what to do with it. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, you should maybe just put some ointment on it, and that should do the trick.
All right, cool. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, so very easy. It's just a way of saying that should solve your problem.
All right, great. So that should do the trick, or it will do the trick.
And well, we have one last phrase, all set.
All set. So this is another phrase that that has two words that always go together to mean, well, we're finished. We're done.
Everything is ready.
Everything is ready.
We're all set to go on vacation. So my bags are packed. I have my passports. We are all set.
Or after a meeting, you can say, are we all set here? That means, are we finished? Is it time to leave?
Very good. So we are almost all set. Let's listen to this dialogue one last time.
Okay, let's go through this one more time. I don't want any more ruined or dyed blouses.
I know. Okay, so I had to separate the colors from the whites and put them in this strange-looking contraption so-called washing machine.
Right. You have to turn it on and program it depending on what type of clothes you're washing. For example, for delicates, you should set a shorter washing cycle. Also, be sure to use fabric softener and this detergent when washing.
So complicated. Okay, what about this red wine stain? How do I get it out?
Since this is a white t-shirt, you can just pour a little bit of bleach on it and it will do the trick.
Cool. Then I can just throw everything in the dryer for an hour and it's all set, right?
No! Since you're washing delicates and cotton, you should set the dryer to medium heat and for 20 minutes.
You know what? I'll just have everything dry cleaned.
Have you ever had any laundry mishaps? Have you ever lost a sock, dyed something?
Have I ever? I hate doing the laundry.
Why?
It's so much. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of time, and I have no patience. And so normally when I was at least when I was in college, I would take all of my laundry in a bag and I'd throw it in the washing machine and I'd put it on cold, because cold water, it's okay for all colors, but hot water makes the colors bleed. I took out the clothes and put them in the dryer. And afterwards, I saw all my clothes were clean except for my 3 sweaters, which were small enough for babies.
Oh, you
And
shrunk it.
Yeah, I shrunk 3 brand new sweaters.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
too bad. The problem that I have when doing laundry is that I forget that I started doing laundry. So all of a sudden, I'm doing laundry in the morning and then the clothes are washed, but they're still in the washing machine. And I remember like the next day. So then the clothes are like kind of smelling like kind of humid.
Because they're moldy.
Yeah, it's so I have to rewash them and it's just like a pain. Yeah, but doing laundry is sometimes so time consuming, but let us know what you think. Do you like doing laundry or have you ever lost a sock? I think everyone has lost a sock or something in their washing, right? I don't know what happens.
There's a secret home for socks somewhere.
It's so weird.
Maybe it's in Australia or something.
So come to our website, englishpod.com. Give us all your feedback, question, comments, or suggestions, and we're always there.
All right, hope to hear from you soon. And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. To change the color of something such as hair or clothing.
Dye.
Place with washing machines and dryers, usually coin-operated and self-service.
Laundromat.
A machine.
Contraption.
To press and smooth clothes with a heated iron.
Iron.
To accomplish the desired task.
Do the trick.
To stiffen clothes with a chemical compound.
Starch.
Ready, prepared.
All set.
A cord, rope, or wire on which clothes may be hung to dry or air.
Clothesline.
A way to clean clothes without water.
Dry clean.
Basket or space where dirty clothes are put.
Clothes hamper.
Let's try that faster.
A way to clean clothes without water.
Dry clean.
A cord, rope, or wire on which clothes may be hung to dry or air.
Clothesline.
To change the color of something such as hair or clothing.
Dye.
Basket or space where dirty clothes are put.
Clothes hamper.
A machine.
Contraption.
To press and smooth clothes with a heated iron.
Iron.
Ready, prepared.
All set.
To accomplish the desired task.
Do the trick.
Place with washing machines and dryers, usually coin-operated and self-service.
Laundromat.
To stiffen clothes with a chemical compound.
Starch.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Dye. Nicole goes to the beauty salon every 3 months to get her hair dyed. Dye. My friend likes to dye her t-shirts different colors. They look really nice. Dye. Why did you dye your hair green? Contraption. He tried to fly over the Atlantic in a homemade contraption. Contraption. What does this contraption do? Contraption. Leonardo da Vinci was a great inventor that designed many different contraptions. Do the trick. If we use a piece of cork, it might stop the leaking and do the trick. Do the trick. The soup was too salty, so I added some potatoes, which did the trick. Do the trick. If the sauce tastes a bit sour, add a teaspoon of sugar. That should do the trick. All set. All set. I finished doing all the laundry. All set. We have our luggage and passport, so we are all set to go to the airport. All set. The preparations for the wedding are all set. Dry clean. If you want to remove that stain, you need to have that dry cleaned. Dry clean. I try and avoid having my clothes dry cleaned. It's too expensive. Dry clean. I took my favorite leather jacket to the dry cleaners and they lost it.